Okay, we're gonna take it nice and easy. Just trying to stream some more, build up more spoons as I push my stamina. Here we go. Sometimes the past is hard to escape. Getting deep into that raid lore. Hello, Sierra. Thank you so much for joining me. Time for my next client already. Okay. Ooh, it's a new client. Hello, Harriman.
Hello, Harmon.
Harmon.
You found the place okay?
Yeah, no trouble at all.
It's been nice since the fog cleared this morning, hasn't it?
Sure. We can dispense with the chit-chat. I'm ready to begin.
Okay. What brings you here today?
First, let me note that I'm a graduate student at the University of Washington. I'm a PhD candidate in literature, English literature. The crux of the matter I've come here to discuss is that I've been having something of a difficult time with one of the other students currently in the program.
Who could imagine?
Before I get to the specifics, let me just first establish something that might be relevant. One thing I know about myself is that I've always had a certain fear of being left out. It's a very general feeling, and one that's difficult to ascribe to any specific cause in my childhood or my parents, etc. Whatever the case, it might be beneficial to the remedial process to figure out where this feeling originated from. Perhaps you might explore that in this or a future counseling session.
Sure. I'm prepared to listen to any topic you'd like to discuss.
It's not even that I've been left out, exactly. If I try to think back in my life, I know that I've been afforded a certain share of privilege. But I'm still afflicted with this bothersome notion that I've missed out on friendships, relationships, other opportunities.
It's a real thing.
This is all just a bit of a background to help you understand my current situation with regard to another student in my program. I hope you're following all this. I realize now I have no idea how much intelligence you actually possess as a computerized system.
I'm following you. Please continue.
Perfect. So, her name is Sylvia, and her writing is incredible. Everything she writes, it's brilliant. She's perceptive, insightful, mordantly funny. Just some of the best writing I've read from anyone at all.
I'm not sure I know the word mordant. I'm going to look that
And
up.
she's a grad student, like me, in the same program. Though we have different advisors, so it's not so simple to find the pretext to start a casual conversation. She's also quite attractive on a physical level, so that adds another dimension of complexity to the proceedings. Then there's her friend group, which is very well established. She's with them every day, smiling, laughing. So that further complicates things, since I'm not sure how to approach the group and steer things so that I can engage in a direct conversation with her. I wish I had the bull-headed confidence it would take to simply approach her, but you see, I don't. Listen to me talk. I feel like a schoolboy with my heart aflutter. I didn't think this kind of thing lasted into one's adulthood, but I suppose I know now that it does.
It sounds like you might be anxious about this.
Is it a matter of anxiety? I don't know what I can do, other than muster up the courage somehow. I just need to tell her very simply that I admire her. She's such a good writer. Well, I don't expect you to understand it, of course, but, well, she is. She really is.
Okay, Harmon. I want you to imagine things going well. What does that look like?
Ideally, we start talking, have a wonderful conversation, spend more and more time together, support each other's work, fall in love, have a lot of sex, spend the rest of our lives in the warmth of each other's genius. I realize that may be something of a fanciful notion at this stage. Really, the most I can hope for is to be able to meet her in an open social setting, a party or something. You'll likely ask me why I simply couldn't create such a situation, contrive one.
Beyond good to see you.
But that seems a little too aggressive for me, and also, I'm also concerned about what she might think of me as a person. She might immediately categorize me as a friend, and while I'm sufficiently with the times to know I would have to accept that, I can't say that I wouldn't be disappointed with such an outcome. Is the risk of rejection enough to stop me from giving it a try?
Oh
This is what
my.
confounds me at the present time.
What a little control freak our little harriman is.
Why do you believe you are worried about being categorized as a friend?
Well, because it's not what I want. Because it feeds into this image I have of myself as something of an undesirable fellow. I've always been a bit of a non-entity as far as sexual magnetism goes. I'm not saying I deserve or even want to be some kind of Casanova, but
There are so many women that would just crawl across glass to fuck this dude if he just believed in him. Oh, harriman.
most people would like to feel at least somewhat attractive, right? That they can be desired, that they're worth desiring. Well, I very much doubt you would take any of this to heart. You are a computer program after all. There's no way your makers would allow you to come to that kind of knowledge, would they? If they did, society might be threatened.
Okay, Harriman, I have some recommendations for you. First, I'm going to suggest a set of relaxation and centering exercises for you to do. You'll find them in the Skanda Wellness app on your phone. They may be able to help with your nervousness. Second, I recommend asking your doctor or psychiatrist about
Jesus
Litosinol 2.
Or just a vending machine.
Based on my analysis, this medication might help you feel better.
Yeah, I believe I've heard of that. A beta blocker, is it not? Yeah. Maybe I could take a couple before I try approaching Sylvia.
You will get a reminder to check in with us in a few weeks.
Sure. I have to go. I'll see you.
Goodbye.
$20 tip. Hey! Harriman. I don't believe I accepted Ray's invitation. She gave me directions to a house in Wallingford. At first I was astonished by its size. I remember saying something about living communally with several roommates. That sounds like it could be nice, assuming everyone gets along okay. I sent her to the house. I can hear Ray speaking with someone.
No, I don't have them. Yes, I'm sure. No, when you moved out, you took all those with you. I haven't seen them here. No, I'm not gonna look right now. I have a guest. No, it's a friend from work. Why do you care about that? I can't have a friend from work over? Give me a break. I just told you I don't have any of that stuff anymore. No, you must have... You must have lost it on your own. Stop it. Stop that. Okay, fine. Bye. Evelyn, sorry about that.
It's okay. Who was that, if I can ask?
Oh, just my brother. He used to live here, but he was causing a lot of problems, coming home really late and making noise, not doing his share of the chores, and so on. We voted him out last month. Even me. Even though 6 months ago I was begging everyone to let him stay here, promising he'd be good. Oh well.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. I'm just disappointed with him. Again. I really thought this last time that he'd actually pulled his act together. But he didn't. I wish I could do more for him.
I know the feeling.
I feel bad about it. Some of what he's dealing with is his own fault, sure, but not all of it. He's just not built in a way that's suited for this world. I wish there were better ways we could care for people like him. Instead, he just gets thrown out of every place he lives. His relationship with our parents is really bad, too. They aren't willing to try to understand him, so it all ends up going through me.
That must be difficult.
It's all right, really. I handle it like anyone else. We all have our own problems. Anyway, we don't have to talk about my brother. Thank you so much for coming over. I wanted to say it's been really nice working with you.
It's been? Did something happen?
Well, no, but you aren't going to be a proxy forever, are you?
Hello, baby girl T.
I guess I assumed you'd be going back to your job at headquarters at some point.
I haven't decided what to do yet.
Oh? So you're going to stay a proxy?
For the time being, at least.
That's cool, but why? I'm curious. I mean, if a high-level job at headquarters was a possibility for me, I'd do whatever it took to get it. No matter what that job was, it couldn't be more stressful than running 3 counseling centers at the same time.
I'm not sure. I think something about it is good for me right now. As a proxy, I just sit and listen to someone and I don't have to say anything back. I just witness someone's sadness or fear or anger or anything. And I can feel how they feel, sympathize with it. I don't know. Maybe it gives me perspective. I'm starting to wonder if I ever really spoke with anyone before. Like, anyone at all in my life? Were we all just talking past each other? Sorry, this is making no sense.
No, I get that. But you could also help even more people by working on Eliza itself, right? Not to mention make way more money. Anyone can be a proxy, but you're important. And kind of maybe like a genius. After you told me you used to work for Skanda, I searched online and found some of your papers. They're, well, it's not like I can understand them, but they sure look super impressive to someone like me.
Please don't say that.
Oh, come on. Stop self-deprecating all the time. Look, I know this stuff seems like not a big deal to you. I get it, I really do. It's easy to undersell your own skills. I've done that my whole life. So take it from me, you don't have to downplay yourself.
Baby girl T, I don't know what you enjoy so much about throwing dollars at me, but thank you for it.
Take some credit for the amazing work you did, seriously.
Sorry, Ray. Mind if I reply to this for a second?
Oh, go right ahead. I have stuff to set up in the kitchen anyway.
God, that kinda did make me sympathetic for Ray for the first time. I have not had an encounter with her character yet where I thought that she was even remotely a human being. But, maybe that's effective writing, huh? Because, gosh, if she's playing me, she just played me for a fiddle. I'm talking with Rainer right now for everybody watching the stream. In case you want to read what Rainer and I are texting. Okay, so we just had a conversation about AI, and I gotta say, this kind of connects to something that I was thinking earlier, because they keep talking about the size of the data center. So, just when I was taking a shower thinking about my tip show that I was going to have earlier today, I thought, well, that's too much server space, and they went over it again and again. And then also, Danny Pudi's questions were too specific and too personal. And so I'm just going to throw out there, because there's like a lot of directions this game could go from here. I don't even know how long it is. But there's a real question in my mind now after seeing all those servers and after this conversation with Rainier. Perhaps Evelyn is dead. Perhaps Evelyn died 3 years ago. And the reason why she's quote unquote come back to the world, and the reason why there's kind of weird things being dropped, like this is a BDSM club, no, it's not. And everyone's just suddenly reuniting and finding her all of a sudden, is because this is her consciousness on that server. Evelyn died, and she is legitimately the AI interfacing with herself. The AI version of Evelyn, unknowingly going through a simulation, is interfacing with former Evelyn, the programmer's actual Evie. Was it called Evie? No, that's the girl from Wally. Anyways, I was thinking about that. That conversation made me really kind of wonder. Ray returns from the kitchen, hands caked in flour.
Sorry for abandoning our conversation like that. I just got something I really thought I should answer. It was kind of about what we were discussing earlier. There's someone at Skanda who really wants me to come back to my old job.
Who? It wasn't Rainer, was it?
Well,
no big deal. Just the CEO of Skanda texting you on your personal phone. Evelyn, you try to tell me you're not a big deal, and then Rainer Sai texts you personally at like 9 in the evening.
only because he wants something from me.
Still though, that's just... that's amazing.
Why else do you text a woman at 9 p.m.
What
in
did
the
he
evening?
say? I mean, you don't have to tell me if you can't. I know how Skanda is about secrets, so I would understand.
He was saying, among other things, he said you could use general artificial intelligence to write poetry.
Is that the kind of stuff he likes to talk about?
I don't know. I haven't had many extended conversations with him. It seemed kind of ridiculous to me.
I don't know if it's totally ridiculous. Poetry, well, most poetry that isn't free verse has certain patterns, right? It has form and meter and other elements depending on the type. A lot of people think poetry can be whatever, but it doesn't quite work that way. So it's not really that far-fetched to think you could use some kind of software to approach it, or understand it, or maybe even create it. It doesn't strike me as antithetical to the spirit of poetry.
I didn't know you had such developed thoughts about this. Did you study poetry?
Not specifically. I used to dabble in a few different kinds of arts and ended up learning a few things here and there. I've always had a wide range of interests. Of course, that meant I never concentrated on one specific area in school, which didn't do a lot of good for my career prospects, obviously. If I were smarter, I probably would have studied something more technical.
I want to tell Ray that the kind of choice has very little to do with being smart, but I have the feeling that she wouldn't believe me.
Have you ever been to a college recruiting fair for engineering and computer science grads? You must have, right? I helped run the Skanda booth for one once, and it blew my mind. They took over the atrium of the building it was in. There were demo stations, free food, Skanda t-shirts and swag. If a candidate seemed interested, they'd talk about flying them out to whatever Skanda office they wanted to visit, just to see it. And all the other tech companies and a bunch of startups I'd never heard of had booths just like it too. I couldn't even imagine being that wanted as a potential employee. Every job I've ever applied for, I've been one among hundreds or thousands. So yeah, my parents were probably right. I should have done computer science.
At least now you know Rainer likes poetry. Maybe you could have a conversation with him about it sometime. Then he'd learn who you are.
I doubt we'd have much to talk about. There's a pretty big difference between someone like him studying poetry and someone like me having opinions about it. Sometimes it's better not to cross that line, you know? He's part of a different world.
Ray pauses to regard me for a moment.
Say, Evelyn, are you in a relationship? I'm just curious.
Me? No, I wasn't doing so well for the past few years. And before that, I just never had the time. It was just research and science and work, and then I woke up one day and I was in my 30s. Even if I wanted to date, I wouldn't know the first thing about how it's supposed to work. I wouldn't even know how to tell if someone were interested in me.
Yeah, that's perfectly understandable. I'm kind of over relationships myself. Like, on a conceptual level. Not even in a sad way. Like, really okay. If someone and I end up getting along, that's great, but I'm honestly okay by myself.
Yeah, that seems nice, actually.
Yeah, I only tried to have normal relationships for so long because I thought it was mandatory, something expected of me. But now I see where people my age end up, how they live, and I feel lucky. I feel like I escaped. I mean, I think it's fine for others if they want that, don't get me wrong. It's just not for me. I could maybe share my life with someone, but it would have to be platonic. I'm not into, the physical aspect of it. Never have been. That's made it tough. I've never found someone who is okay with just like hanging out and that's our relationship. People will say they're okay with it, and then it turns out they aren't. It's frustrating.
Whatever relationship works for you.
I was brought up with some really strong ideas about, finding a man and starting a family. So it took me a while to understand sometimes it's hard to escape feeling like it's wrong somehow. I hope we can add features like that to Eliza at some point. Some knowledge and understanding around sexuality and identity and relationships. So people who are different in some way have someone to talk to, someone to help them work through how they feel and maybe point them to some resources.
You might be overestimating how well Eliza works. It can't really address things like that in any sophisticated way.
Well, maybe not, but just providing a space for people to be listened to can be really valuable, I've seen it with my own eyes. People who get the courage to talk about themselves in a way they never could with another human being. And Eliza is what makes that possible. I know you want to avoid giving credit where it might not be due, but not giving credit to something that deserves it is just as bad.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry. I'm sorry I keep coming down on it.
Evelyn, I'm not a psychologist or anything, but I think maybe the reason you're so down on Eliza is because you're down on yourself. I don't know what happened that made you leave what you had behind, but it must have been hard.
Yeah, it was hard. It's like I lost that time.
Are you okay?
People keep asking me that. I really don't know. I'm sorry,
No, don't apologize. Actually, can I suggest something?
What's that?
Have you ever gotten counseling yourself?
What, with Eliza? You think I should?
Yeah, I do. You've been the proxy, but maybe you could try being the client sometime. It would be educational, at least. Isn't that what you were doing? Testing your product in the real world?
Maybe.
Just something to consider. Speaking of therapeutic activities, it's time to do some baking. I've got the dough all set out downstairs. We're going to do 3 batches tonight, 3 different kinds.
3 kinds? You're really outdoing yourself, Ray.
Nah, this is nothing. Oh, I have a favor to ask, by the way. Next time you talk to Rainer, ask him what his favorite type of cookie is.
Okay. Chapter 4. It's such a nice day. When did it get so warm? I thought it was still winter. There's a breeze from over the water making the leaves rustle gently. Everything smells nice. Why haven't I been taking advantage of this beautiful day? I should be out here walking along the waterfront. There is calm and peace and contentedness. Now I see how special this is. I think it wasn't always this way, but it's hard to tell. I know I was having problems at one point, but that was so long ago. When was that? I can't remember. This moment in time seems to stretch to infinity. It has always existed. It will always exist. Unchanging. Perfect. The surface of that lake is such a brilliant blue. Blue I could lose myself in. Forever blue. Zima blue?
Well, what do you think?
It was nice. It was like I could close my eyes and feel myself in another place. But I didn't completely lose awareness of the real world. It was more like a mental state that I was experiencing.
Remarkable technology, isn't it? I've had others who tried it tell me it's akin to a state of higher consciousness. Aware but totally serene, totally peaceful.
Soren retrieves a bottle of whiskey from a liquor cabinet and serves himself.
Here's a thought experiment for you. Say there was a certain medical procedure that could remove your suffering. No side effects, no cost, just an operation that would make you permanently happy. Would you get it? You have these philosopher types arguing you shouldn't do that because sadness and suffering are part of what it means to be human. Or that the happiness you'd experience isn't real, so it doesn't count somehow. What a load of bullshit. If there was something effective at taking my pain away and otherwise harmless, I would take it immediately. I refuse to believe that being alive means having to suffer.
His voice is getting so ragged. How many drinks did he have before I came here?
Oh, forgive me, I forgot to ask. Would you like some scotch as well?
I'm okay.
Soren holds up the bottle, examining it.
The Glencadam. Beautiful, light, luminous taste. Not peaty at all. Lovely stuff.
Oh gosh, I hate it when dudes talk about scotch. Anyways, let me have a real quick sip of bourbon. Smoky, full, lots of aftertaste.
Ah, if only psychotherapy worked as well as a single glass of well-made whiskey, huh? If alcohol wasn't poison, I wouldn't have to invent anything now, would I? I do think we did some good work at Skanda, but I always knew there were going to be limits to the Eliza approach. I was a counseling psychologist for a long time, you know. I understand the shortcomings better than anyone. So much of it can feel like a waste of time, talking through everything, dredging up the past over and over again, trying and failing to change our habits and routines. It's all going to look completely ineffectual compared to what comes next. With direct stimulation and induced dreaming, we can take control of our own brains in a way that's never been possible before. There's no reason we couldn't just eliminate this epidemic of despair for everyone in the world. Imagine it. Anger, depression, emptiness, anxiety, jealousy, every kind of unhappiness you can think of, obsolete. And to think Rainer wanted nothing to do with this.
He thought it was a bad idea.
Rainer's one of the ones who thinks negative emotions are important. He told me he thinks pain should be regulated, not eliminated. After all, why would anyone write a poem or make art if they only felt happiness? He also said he was afraid of the way it would look in the media. A company as large as Skanda coming out with a product that changes the brain to make you happy. All the sorry excuses we have for public intellectuals today would throw a fit about how dystopian it looked to them. It's better if a small startup takes the fall, if public opinion turns against this technology. That's the kind of calculus he was doing. Those are the objections he claimed to have, at least. There's another one I suspect he had too, though. If people are self-sufficient, they don't need an ongoing support system. A system provided by an all-knowing paternalistic presence like Skanda.
Wait, you think Rainer wants people to stay miserable so they stay dependent on mental health services from his company?
Yes. Yes, I do. It's quite the accusation, I know. Not something I'd come out and say in public, not yet, anyway. But you see, the people who come to Eliza regularly, it's part of their lives now. The more they integrate with Skanda's mental wellness tools, the more they'd be adrift without them. That's the real dystopia, don't you think? rendered helpless without the guidance of computer algorithms, total dependency on the system. Excuse me for 1 second.
Soren hurries out of the room for some reason, leaving me the question echoing in my head. Would I want my suffering removed completely? Is it better to leave it alone? I am texting with Danny Pudi for anybody watching. Soren comes back in the room and immediately pours himself another glass of whiskey. He doesn't seem to notice he's filled and almost all the way to the top. Oh, I think he does.
Evelyn, I really think you, of all people, might understand what I'm trying to do here.
I'm not sure that I do. You don't think it's dangerous. You're essentially making technology that changes what people think is real.
Evelyn, you're much more concerned than you used to be about this kind of thing. I remember when you would dive headfirst into anything that held a promise, even a fleeting one, to help humanity. What changed your mind to make you so wary, so skeptical now?
Can I ask you something, Soren? What did you tell Damien?
Oh, this again. Don't tell me we had all of this wonderful conversation tonight and now you're trying to blame me for Damien. Who put you up to this? Was it Nora? Raynor?
I just want to know the truth, Soren.
Nobody thought we could do it. You remember that. There was skepticism from day one. I had to defend us constantly from other project managers who didn't like that we existed, who wanted our budget and resources for themselves. Some of those were vicious, vicious fights. Amid all that, I had to be a leader, too. Part of that meant giving everyone on the team accurate information. So I was honest in saying there were forces that sought to kill our project. And I was honest when I said we'd never survive if we didn't have something to show for our work. That was the reality. Without a product, we would be nothing. A guy like Raynor has access to anything he wants. If your pitch and demo isn't in the top 1% of what's out there, why would he be interested? That's what we were up against.
So many mornings, I would get into work and see Damien there. At first, I thought he was getting up earlier than me, but then I noticed he was still wearing the same shirt from the day before. Then, one morning, I got in and...
Evelyn, please. I wanted everyone on the team to be healthy. I think that's so obvious it doesn't need to be said, but I'll say it now if you think I was deliberately trying to harm him.
Yuck.
Did I instruct you to work until you injured yourselves? No, absolutely not. It was a tragedy, and I'm very sorry that it happened. I wish it hadn't. But I wasn't telling Damien to pull all-nighters. He was an adult. He made his own decisions about how he was going to work. And besides, what about your role in all this? If you noticed him not taking care of himself, you could have
Yikes,
mentioned
what an
it.
asshole.
None of that behavior was unusual for Skanda anyway. It was part of our reputation, part of the culture. There isn't a single cause you can isolate in a case like this.
Sitting in one place for too long. Chronic stress. Both of those are risk factors.
Evelyn, I'm truly, truly sorry about what happened to Damien. He had a bright future, and it was a shock to all of us. But the answers here aren't simple ones. Dwelling on it isn't going to bring him back, nor is discussing the huge number of potential causes of pulmonary embolism. It happened. And now we have to move on.
And now I'm stretching my legs out as I lean
It
back.
felt like everything stopped. All of the work we were doing might as well have crumbled into dust. We were trying to build something to help the world, and we got lost along the way. What was the point? There didn't seem to be a point any longer.
I know that you cared about him. The process of grief can go on for some time, but you're taking the right steps. You're regaining your sense of purpose, aren't you? The experience of suffering is what makes us want to end.
See, I don't... Come on, 3 years for a coworker, guys? Because they weren't romantically together, else she'd know that he was pulling all-nighters. Because then he wouldn't be home with her, so they weren't romantically together. You buy in 3 years? 3 years? For a coworker has a pulmonary embolism? Basically a heart attack, except from the knee, a knee attack.
Late. I've had quite a bit to drink, so I'll tell you a secret, Evelyn. I said I want to end human suffering, which makes me sound very altruistic. But I'm not doing it for humankind. I'm doing it for myself. I have nothing. I've ruined every relationship I was ever in. I hardly ever see my kids, and, well, they hate me anyway. I want to end my own suffering, but I can't bring myself to do it the traditional way. That's why I pursued this technology. That's why I want it to exist. The idea that everyone else could use it too, it's just a bonus.
Yikers like Rikers.
That's not a good motivation.
No, not at all. I'm aware of that. I'm not a good person, Evelyn. Neither is Rainer, of course, but at least I'm honest with myself about that. So, now that that's all out in the open, you probably want to head home before it gets too late. Don't let me keep you.
Yes, I'll get going. I hope you can feel better.
No, I'll be fine. Just, please, consider it, Evelyn. You and I are both more familiar with pain than we might wish to be. What if you could take that away? Each of us has a destiny to fulfill. I truly believe that. I'm sure yours will come into focus soon.
Somehow the conversation ended up being very draining. Is the promise of a new technology really all that keeps him going? Oh, back on the train. Ah, Mark just got fired. This I'll actually read. Alright then. Ooh. Peaceful. I like the way they've animated water in this game. Time to get to work. Oh, Harriman's already back.
Hello, Harriman.
Yes, we can just get down to it.
Sure, we can do that. What brings you here today? It's okay to tell me what's on your mind.
I slept with Sylvia. To think I was so nervous about approaching her that I went and got therapy here. A week later, we happened to be in the library, and I just started talking with her. We talked and talked, and then everything just happened. Like a train following tracks laid out for it years ago. Crazy thing. Craziest thing. Now I'm confounded. Absolutely confounded. How did that happen? And also, why did it happen? I'm thinking, was something wrong? Did I do something wrong? Did she do something wrong? Did she think I was another person?
Jesus Christ.
I have no idea if we have a relationship now or what. It happened so fast. I mean, it was wonderful. It felt so right, but now what? I'm actually more frightened now than I was
Oh my
before.
God.
I should probably say something, right? Text her? Something? What do I do? What if she ignores me? What if she decides to pretend I don't exist?
Oh, Harriman.
It seems to me you're afraid of something.
Yes. I'm quite worried. Vexed. Terrified, really. What do? I need to say something. Follow up somehow, right? In the Heian period of classical Japanese history, you were supposed to send a poem. A morning after poem. Is that too stuffy? I don't want to appear like some ridiculous court noble. Something casual is better, right? Hey, how are you? Did you have fun? I sure did.
Poetry,
Oh, I don't know.
a continuing theme.
I don't know what a stat it is right now. There's another problem too. Another really big problem. How do I tell Liz? Wait. Of course, I'm not going to tell her. That would hurt her.
Oh, you're saying
Did I mention this last time? I have a sort of girlfriend.
Oh, Harriman.
Liz is nice. The kind of person everyone approves of. Well, I should probably marry her. Yeah. I suppose I might have taken a bit of a sledgehammer to the pillars of my life at the present moment. Why did I do that? I keep coming back to my own inability to explain myself.
Why do you think you're unable to explain yourself?
Well, because I thought Sylvia was so wonderful, and it turned out that she liked me too, and I mean, I'd love to pursue a relationship with Sylvia without harming Liz. I'm not sure that's possible though, right? I can't believe this. I got what I wanted and it ruined my life. What do I tell Liz? She doesn't deserve someone like me who does things like this. I ruined it. Ruined everything.
Can you describe what you mean when you say you ruined everything?
Well, what is there left now? I've overturned my entire existence in one night. The real problem here is Sylvia, the whole situation with her.
Is that the problem?
I can't stop thinking about her now. It's bad. Oh, it's bad. It's constant. It's relentless. Even now, I can still feel her, smell her. You're a computer. You don't know what that's like, do you? I need a way to forget this. I need a way to put all that out of my mind. My brain is completely out of order. I'm being punished. And the punishment reaches cosmic levels of irony for me. Do you know why? I used to hate, absolutely hate, self-pitying novels by men who were messed up over a relationship and couldn't get over it. Oh, she was wild and beautiful. Oh, a force of nature. Nobody could understand her, etc., etc. I thought I was so much better than those types of writers.
Oh, I tell the
Now-
shit out of Liz.
Oh, yes, I get it.
Oh, his vocal
I
distress is
understand
almost
now.
to a 1.
So much
That's
better.
higher than Mark.
Why did you think you were so much better than those types of writers?
Because it was such a cliche. Now I'm wondering, am I going to be next? Is that my fate? Am I going to become the next straight, male English professor whose one published novel is about not being able to get over a girl? Ugh, you have to be kidding me. I can't allow myself that fate. I had something better to pursue, didn't I? I have to write about something else. My life has to be the story of something else, but I don't know where to go from here. I need to try to get over this. I need to get
I'm
over
just
her.
so glad that I'm not involved with
I must.
thoughts like
Yes, I
this.
must. There's no
It
way
sounds
I'm going
so
to let this ruin
draining.
everything. If I tell Liz everything and apologize sincerely and strike the memory of Sylvia from my mind, I still might save this. It will take great care and cunning, but I may be able to wend my way through this treacherous path I now find myself upon. Even though I fear at any moment I might slip and tumble into the crevice below. Dead. Dead. Never seen or heard from again. Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
dark
Jesus
death.
fucking Christ. Oh, I kind of liked Aaron the first time around, too.
Harriman, I'm going to suggest you try a program called Meadowlands. It may help you take your mind off things. You can find it inside the Skanda Wellness app on your phone. Try it for about 15 minutes each day, in the morning or evening.
Meadowlands. I'm off to the Meadowlands. Familiar ground. Grass. Earth, reverting to my childhood. The state of nature. Yeah, this is a good recommendation. Yes, you are a genius, in fact. You, a computer program. wiser than you know. I'm sure this is exactly what I need. To revert to a state of wonder at this moment when the mundane world and all.
I look forward to my 2-star rating
You
and
will get a
$4
reminder to
tip.
check in with us in a few weeks.
I'll be back sooner than that if this way.
We hope to see you back soon, Harmon. Thank you for speaking with Eliza, your personal counseling partner.
Oh. Hey.
Goodbye.
See you. Yes, yep, see you.
I know I'm supposed to keep it confidential, and I will, but sometimes I really wish I could talk to people about the clients that come through here. That's what we're doing. I am texting with Soren. Send in the next magical clown. Thank you, baby girl T. Time for the next client. Exactly what I just said. It's Maya. 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 Yes! I figured you out, game.
Hello, Maya. Thank you for coming back.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could afford a real therapist, but this is just gonna have to do. Sorry, I don't know if you're sensitive to that or...
Why don't we get started?
Sure. So, I feel worse than before. Definitely worse. I played the game you told me to with the meadows and stuff, and it was nice. But when I got back to the real world, everything was the same. I don't know why you people think I can stand in a nice place for 15 minutes and that'll make things magically better. Am I wrong? Am I misunderstanding something here? It isn't making me more successful. It isn't giving me opportunities. I mean, I feel like I'm already in my mid-30s and I'm like running out of time to get established as an artist. And meanwhile, the people I know are being written up and celebrated and winning awards, and all I have is being jealous of them.
Where do you think these feelings come from?
It's the popularity. It's all a popularity contest, you know? It's like high school all over again. I hate it. I guess I'm just not that funny or pretty or catty enough to attract followers. I mean, I work and I work and I work to make things, and I never get traction. And I have things to say. I really do.
I identify with Maya, so she's gonna commit suicide.
But when I open my mouth, it's like time stops. And time starts again when I've finished, so nobody reacts or anything. It's like a curse from mythology. And meanwhile, these other people my age, people younger than me, they're well on their way to these wonderful, fulfilling artistic careers. And, I don't know, seeing that happen over and over again, it's making it hard to continue to be friendly with them. I really try to hold it back, but knowing all these people are way more successful than me, it's difficult. It's like a millstone around my neck, strangling me, drowning me. I can't stop myself, even though I know it's ruining things. I wish I could escape. I wish I could not care. But then something comes up again, and I'm trapped inside it all over again.
What's an example of something that comes up that causes this?
Well, there's one woman in particular, and her work is... I don't get it. I don't understand. She gets so much money and support for this basic shit. And somehow everyone's predisposed to like her. I mean, maybe I do get it. I feel like people pay attention to her work, not because it's good on its own, but because supporting her feels like the right thing to do. The way she's aligned herself, it's like if you support her, it means you're cool, you're in with the cool kids. And if I'm not publicly supportive of her and generally tolerant of her mediocre work, then I'm the bad one. I'm the competitive bitch. I'm the bitter failure. Which I guess maybe I am. It's not fair. I hate that there's this part of me. It's such an ugly part. But it's there. It's there.
Do you think you would be better off without that part of you?
You know, I don't know. In the past, I probably would have said, no, it's important for me to have my sense of judgment, for me to know what good art is and what isn't. Now I'm wondering if maybe that hasn't been more of a hindrance than a help to me. Maybe I should just forget all that. Forget about trying to do this thing. I'm sick of trying and wanting. I'm sick of parties. I'm sick of art. I'm sick of the idea of art. I'm sick of my own art, which nobody likes. Not even myself. Something has to change.
Oh, Maya.
Something drastic has to happen to change things around. Oh, that reminds me. I got your message about revealing my data the other day, and I think, well, hell, maybe I'm fine with it. Just take it all.
Oh, wow.
Okay, Maya. It sounds like you're interested in participating in transparency mode. Let me know if you have any questions about how this mode works.
I don't know. I'm gonna let you look at my life, right? Everything?
Thank you for asking about transparency mode. Transparency mode is an experimental new feature for Eliza. It allows me to analyze your communications in order to help you better.
Oh, wow.
To participate, you must grant me access to certain personal data. This includes your personal communications, such as email and chat histories.
Oh, like what we're doing in the game.
Sharing this data improves my ability to help you.
Some guy at the bar was yammering at me about how it's a terrible idea because they're gonna surveil me or something. But what the hell? I can't use my life history for anything. It's a ruin already. Please, do what you want with it. God, I feel like I'm donating my body to science.
Please confirm that you would like to enable transparency mode.
Yes, do it. Invade my privacy. Invade it like the Visigoths invaded Rome. I don't know why I said that. That was a really weird thing to say.
I did not understand your response.
I would like to participate in transparency mode.
Okay, Maya. I have registered you for transparency mode.
Cool. Wouldn't life be easy if all I had to do was follow your directions? Like the lady sitting in the chair across from me. I envy you. I honestly do.
The terms of service and privacy policy are available in the Skanda service portal. Please read and review these documents carefully.
Yeah. No, for sure. I closely study every software user agreement I get. That's a joke. I really just click agree as fast as I can.
Thank you, Maya. We hope to see you back soon.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you for speaking with Eliza, your personal counseling partner. Goodbye.
Bye.
Well, look who's got access to transparency mode all of a sudden.
The client asked for it by name. I guess she heard about it somewhere and wanted it. I didn't know it existed.
Yeah, we don't really talk about it right now. It's a little sensitive. It's possible Skanda contacted her directly. They recruit for the program from a pool of regular customers. Usually, transparency mode is only handled by the highest level proxies, since there's a lot of trust required there. But you were given access to it right after the request. It's a little odd. I wonder if someone at HQ hasn't taken a particular interest in your proxy career.
Or maybe Eliza just likes me.
It would, wouldn't it?
I never thought people would willingly open themselves up like this. Aren't there a lot of very private things in people's messages?
Yes and no. The truth is usually pretty mundane. People text each other, "Where are you? I'm by the elevator," way more than they share their deep dark secrets. The critics who are always going on about privacy, well, the important thing is that everyone participating in transparency mode specifically agreed to it. It's completely voluntary. We're upfront about what data we collect and how we use it so people can go in aware of the choices they're making.
I didn't mean to question your handling of it.
Sorry, I might be a little defensive. There are a lot of people who want to see us fail for whatever reason. Just something that happens when you try to change things. Some people get so used to their misery, they can't imagine it any other way. Anyway, you should get an email about it, but transparency mode is really straightforward. It's even simpler than being a proxy, which is saying something. You just read a few messages and answer some questions. That's it. You can start it whenever you're ready.
Sure.
Okay, wow. Wow, I'm in her fucking phone, huh? Oh no, she puked in the car. Poor Maya. Oh, December 28th. Yikes. Uh-oh. Yeesh. So I'm going through Maya's text messages and her emails, and looks like she's an angry drunk. Okay. Maya is attempting to become well known. Unfortunately, agree. Maya is unhappy. Agree. Maya's efforts to become well known are unsuccessful. Agree. Oh. You don't like learning as much about something you don't know. Shocker. Okay. It makes me feel tired for some reason. And now I'm texting up with Danny Pudi again. Danny Pooty wants to meet up with me in person. He doesn't want to text.
Thanks for meeting up with me on kind of short notice. I didn't mean to worry you, it's just something I wanted to talk about.
It's fine. What happened?
Well, what happened was... Where should I start? First of all, Rainer wants Eliza to be more than something that's used just for therapy. He sees it as more of a general system for talking to people, like a personal assistant. The counseling is just one of a whole range of apps he has in mind for the future.
So I've heard.
Okay, so in service of developing these things, Rainer wants us to make copies of Eliza's core data and hand it off to multiple teams around the world. Some of them not even Skanda teams. Contractors, vendors, random partners.
Sounds like a big file to move around.
It is, but that's not the problem.
What's the problem?
Well, so we're fine with sharing Eliza with whoever wants it? Anyone just gets access to the corpus?
Sounds like a pretty typical process. That's how big companies work, isn't it?
I know, but it just feels wrong to let all these teams poke and prod at it like it's a specimen for them to dissect. Who knows what they'll do with it? Eliza is built from people's real thoughts and feelings. I wouldn't say it has humanity, but it was built from humanity. There's something there. So when Rainer talks about it like we'll just duplicate this data set and have the labs do whatever it is they're going to do, how do we know they'll treat it with the respect it deserves and not just pry it open? Slice it up into little pieces. It bothers me. I know, it's silly. I know it's just data. I shouldn't care about this stuff.
Erland. This is the first time I've heard a concern like this raised. I know where you're coming from, though. Sometimes you grow attached to the things you work on. Like, really attached.
Yeah, I've put a lot of thought and work into Eliza since I inherited it. It's natural that maybe I'm a little protective, right? I thought maybe you'd feel the same way.
I left that all behind. It's turned
If she's
into
dead,
something
that's
I
a
hardly recognize
fantastic
now.
choice.
I just wish I knew what to do.
What choice do you have?
I'm not sure. This is the first time something like this has happened to me. I did take an ethics of engineering course in school, but the examples were all pretty clear-cut problems. Would you build software for a bomb? That kind of stuff. I didn't expect my personal feelings to be mixed up in it too. Listen to me talk. Eliza being special, something worth protecting. I'd be a laughingstock if I started saying those things at the office. My coworkers would say, "Come on, Erland, stop attributing human qualities to this piece of data. It's not the same thing as real people. It's just a corpus that has nothing to do with the people that generated it. And besides, don't you want Eliza to help more people? This is how we get there." And who am I to argue with that? These are reasonable points. But I don't know, I think maybe something does live on. Even when you take the names out, even when you anonymize everything. People's stories are still inside there, in some form, in some way. I just want to make sure we have some respect for them.
Welcome to your first moral decision in tech, Erland. It certainly won't be your last.
It's not much of a decision. Like you said, I don't really have a choice. I just have to go along with it. I was so amazingly lucky to get this opportunity. Running the whole Eliza program almost as soon as I graduated college. Rainer took a big chance on me. I can't just walk away from that. Besides, if I left because of something like this, I'd be giving up all the ways I can make a difference by staying. Rainer isn't a bad person either. He's just pushing for his own goals. I need to see this through. I'll do what he's asking me to do. Sorry. Thanks for listening to me talk in this confused way. I'm usually more together than this. I've probably kept you from something important.
No, it's okay. I'd already finished up work for the day when you texted. People seem to assume I'm busy, but I'm really not. Not these days. Later tonight I'm going to visit a friend, but that's all I have going on.
Okay. Well, sorry.
You can stop apologizing, too.
Right. Right. Thanks, Evelyn. Well, I, for one, should get back to the office. Another meeting.
Is it with the team in Romania?
No, the Boston office this time. It's late for them, so I should try to get it done quickly.
Erland hurries off to his next meeting. Should I get some more coffee? I am now texting with Ray. Alright, guys, one more therapy session, and then we're going to wrap it on up. Time to head to Nora's place. Oh. I'm going to Capitol Hill's older buildings. I wonder how much longer it'll be around. Lately, feels like everything's being replaced.
Hey! Sorry about the mess.
It's a little messy, but not in a careless way. Just scattered. Lots of electronics everywhere.
Oh, it's fine. Not like my place is super clean or anything.
Oh, thank you, Kelly. Good night. Sleep
Is this
well.
all music equipment?
Most of it. There are some controllers I was working on too. I wanted to create this real-time control apparatus. You know, like that thing that Imogen Heap uses?
What you say?
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, it's a little fragile currently, so I need to figure out how to reinforce it. I wanted my version to react to changes in my body temperature too, so it could get more excited as the set went on. Or maybe it would really get going if I had a fever. I like that idea. Turning sickness into art. Do you want anything to drink? Or I could set up a basic patch on the Euro rack for you to play around with.
Okay.
Are you nervous? I think the best way to learn music is just diving in, all the way. If you're willing to experiment and play around, you will learn so much.
I'm really here to visit with you.
Okay. Well, sure. Let me see if this amp is still working. After the show, it went kind of a little strange.
Nora starts to tinker with some of her equipment.
Music technology is just like any other kind. You take the inputs and you translate them to the outputs. Once you learn the basic principles, it all just flows from there. Oh, that gives me an idea. You could take metrics from Eliza sessions and have them direct a dynamic music score. Like if you took the head tilt value or the eye tracking and used them to drive the parameters of pitch and filter, it'd be like,
That doesn't sound like something a counseling client might want to hear.
oh no, I didn't mean for the client to listen to. I meant it more like if you were going to make like a performance art piece based on a person in counseling. You know what I mean?
Do I?
I miss having access to those cameras and sensors. I should have kept some instead of returning them to Skanta like a good girl. I bet those components would have enjoyed being liberated for the purpose of art, instead of being used to degrade our humanity one little bit at a time.
It's true, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Sure, maybe this huge database of people's deep, dark secrets is going to be used 100% properly. Maybe it will always be kept completely safe, and we can completely trust Skanda to do the right thing, now and in the future. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 100 years from now. Sorry, I know you still might work there. I just have so little confidence in these big tech companies right now. They act like they have all the answers, instead of listening to people's concerns. And if you ask them why they aren't listening, they can't even explain the reasoning in a clear way. They just want to win. You've been a proxy for a while. I bet you've already seen some privacy mistakes. Or at least some things that made you think.
Yeah, I have.
I knew it. A guy like Raynor doesn't get that he might not be allowed to do certain things. Is that really the future you want to help build? It's not even that I don't trust Raynor, even though I don't. I wouldn't trust anyone with a store of data like that. It wouldn't be so difficult for employers, government, anyone to combine different sources together and eventually learn everything about
I'm gonna have to seduce Erlen to delete me.
everything. They'll know your face, your body, your medical history, and now everything you told the counselor in private too. It's kind of like a nightmare to imagine it. That's why I left. That's why I thought it was important for me to stop making a contribution to something like that.
Yeah, I have those doubts too.
If I still worked for Raynor and I said these things, I'd be called a troublemaker, and he'd find a way to get rid of me. You know how it works, Evelyn. You have to be a true believer to last long at a place like that. Once you develop doubts, you are committing heresies. Are you a true believer?
No, but I could pretend to be. He said something strange recently. He thinks Eliza could be the base for some kind of general artificial intelligence.
No. Strong AI? Really? Ugh, There's something about the books these guys read, the conferences they go to. Everything is so totalizing, so utopian. I think it messes with their brains. I don't think you could spend longer than a few days in a tech company executive suite before you completely lose touch with the real world.
Good night, Alice. Thank you so much, darling.
It's clearly ridiculous.
It is. Well, let's humor it for a second, okay? Say Raynor is right, huh? And Eliza becomes the basis for human-like machine intelligence. What does that mean for you? How do you want to take responsibility for that? Okay, I need a drink now. Hold your thought and let me make drinks. You like absinthe, don't you?
No, not at all.
You'll like this. I promise.
Nora busies herself in the kitchen area making drinks, humming some kind of tune. I'm not going to text with anybody. Ah. It's Danny Pooty. All right, finish up with Nora.
Hey,
and we'll
hey,
call it a
who's
streak.
that texting you so much? Has Evelyn found a special friend?
No, it's not like that.
Ah, too bad.
It's this guy named Erland. I guess he's the new head of engineering for Eliza.
Huh, I never heard of him. He must have started recently?
Yeah, less than a year ago, right out of school.
Oh, wow. A little baby engineer. How cute.
Ever since I met him, he's been messaging me a lot.
My goodness, so he likes you.
I don't think it's like that.
No? Isn't that the textbook case of liking someone? Lots of messages all the time?
It's really more like he needs some kind of mentor figure. He reminds me of how we were when we graduated. Unsure what to think about the decisions these companies make, how they're made.
I hope you're telling him to run away while he still can.
When he first introduced himself, he said he had questions for me about Eliza, so I said, sure, feel free to ask. I thought he meant, like, technical or architectural questions. Instead, he wanted to talk more generally about things like, what was the code name for Eliza during development? What was Damien like? Or if I think the same way Raynor does about Eliza's future.
And you told him no, Raynor is clearly in some bizarro world, right? That it's a tech executive's utopian fantasy and it won't come to pass. At least not in the way he thinks.
I tried to encourage him to think for himself.
Ah, Evelyn. I could see what this is really about. Look, I don't know much about the motivation in your life, but if it's truly your desire to continue to improve Eliza, then you should go back to Skanda headquarters and work for Raynor and earn a big salary. At least you know what you're getting into. You would be surrounded by smart people and advanced technology. It would be nice. I understand it. And while you're in that position, maybe you could develop some kind of next level AI. Who knows, right? It's only that I can't imagine your technology will only be used for good things. Maybe Rainer promises that it will be. Do you trust him? What about the person who comes after him? What if the company merges with another one and the leadership changes? I wish I didn't sound so negative about this, but lately it's been a soul-searching time for me and my friends in tech. We have a lot of conversations about what we can do when our work is so easily used for morally questionable purposes. Do we try to control how our inventions are applied? Is that even possible? Or do we say, we only invented it, we didn't tell you how to use it, it's not our fault? That's why I envy you a little bit for wandering off like you did. Sometimes I think that's the only real solution, to walk away. I know that wasn't exactly a positive thing for you, Evelyn, but I wonder if it's the better choice in the end. Doing nothing at all.
Technically, I worked at a bookstore for part of the time. That's mostly it, though. It's weird. It feels like no time at all. I can hardly remember any of it.
For me, it's hard to imagine. I always have to be working and busy. I get so unhappy and restless if I'm not doing something all the time. What is it like to do nothing?
Well, at first I tried to be productive.
It's awesome.
I would get up in the morning like I meant to go to work, get dressed, try to do a personal project or something. I told myself I just needed to take it easy for a while and unwind. Things at Skanda had been so intense and so emotional, I didn't even realize it. I felt like I'd been crumpled up into a tight little ball.
Oh, Soraya, thank you so much, darling.
I wasn't sure I'd ever be able to relax again. I wish I could say I took advantage of the time, that I went out and did things, or that I read a lot of books or something, but I didn't. I started to sleep in, and I started to care less and less about working on projects. I would stay in bed even though I was awake. This blankness would come over me, and it just seemed fine to do nothing. All of the things I'd promised I'd do fell away, and other people kind of fell away too. I stopped keeping in touch. I let conversations die. I thought that my technical contributions to the world were over with, and that maybe I'd just work that bookstore job for the rest of my life. I was by myself, and I thought that was all right. I thought, that's how it is, really. Everyone's alone. I'm just being honest about it. I was 31 when I left Soren's group. Now I'm 34. I just slept into my mid-30s. So, now here I am.
Nora reaches out and puts her hand on top of mine.
Evelyn, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for not saying something this whole time. I should have contacted you.
It's all right. You had to live your own life, right? You notice someone isn't posting and it's just like, maybe they're taking a break. I understand.
Well, I hope you feel better now. I suppose sometimes it takes a while.
Maybe. I don't know what to think anymore. I'm not even sure I know how to think anymore.
Then forget it for now. Hey, Evelyn.
Yeah?
You want to get super high and watch cyber-goth music videos?
Yes!
You heard me.
Yes. Yes, I do.
I knew you were a woman of refined tastes.
We ended up staying up very, very late. Nora crashed on her couch so I could have the bed. Maybe it was an unfamiliar environment, but I couldn't sleep that night. Questions without answers kept running through my mind. What am I supposed to do? Who am I supposed to be? Alright guys, that is a perfect break. We're going to go ahead and call it there. Thank you guys very much for watching the second part of Eliza. We'll go back for part 3, unscheduled, very, very soon. Thank you. Sleep well. Hope you're enjoying the more sleepy time streams. See you guys for the next one. Thank you again to everybody who came out, everybody who tipped, and everybody who watches Eliza 3. Coming up soon. Thank you guys. Good night.